There's a shocking truth that nobody tells you about high-ticket sales. Deals aren't won during the pitch, they're not won during objection handling, and they're definitely not won during the close. The harsh reality is that 90% of five-figure deals are won or lost in the first 7 minutes of discovery. And I'm about to show you why the top 0.1% of salespeople approach these critical minutes completely differently than everyone else. I'm Alleyne, and after delivering over $50 million in total contract value and building multiple 8-figure sales teams, I've identified a fundamental shift in thinking that separates world-class salespeople from average performers. Today, I'm going to share the exact framework I've used to transform order takers into trusted advisors at companies like Amazon, Twilio, and now Closers.io. But first, let me show you why everything you think you've been taught about discovery is probably holding you back. Picture this: you're on a sales call, you've got your list of discovery questions ready. You're following the playbook perfectly, but something just feels off. The prospect seems disengaged, they're giving you short answers, and you can feel the deal slipping away before you even get to present your solution. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. I experienced this exact same feeling early in my sales career when I was selling learning and development packages at Capita. I was doing everything by the book, but I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. Then as my career evolved, I had a revelation that completely transformed my approach to discovery. The problem wasn't the questions I was asking, it was how I was thinking about discovery itself. Like most salespeople, I was treating it as an information gathering exercise, a checkbox I needed to complete before getting to the real selling. But here's what I learned working alongside some of the best salespeople in the world. Top performers don't see discovery as a phase of the sale. They see it as the foundation of true transformation for their clients. Now let me show you exactly what I mean. Think about the last time you went to a doctor. Did they walk in and immediately start pitching you different medications? Of course not. They asked questions, they listened, and they diagnosed before they prescribed. Yet this is exactly what most salespeople get wrong. They enter discovery with a solution already in mind, just simply waiting for the prospect to say the magic words that then allow them to jump into their pitch. I've seen this time and time again over many years watching call reviews from salespeople. They simply rush through discovery like it's a formality, asking surface level questions without truly understanding the deeper implications of their prospect's challenges. But here's the truth. Your prospect doesn't care about your questions, they care about feeling understood. And this is where the consultant's mindset comes into play. Let me break down the 3 fundamental shifts that separate the order taker from the trusted advisor. First, it's about intention. Average salespeople ask questions to qualify. Top performers ask questions to understand. There's a massive difference. I learned this lesson the hard way at AWS. I was working with a prospect who on paper seemed like a perfect fit. I rushed through discovery, ticking off my qualification boxes, eager to present our solution. But I missed crucial context about their internal challenges. The deal fell apart 3 weeks later because I hadn't taken the time to truly understand their situation. The second shift is about depth. Most salespeople operate at what I call level 1, focusing on surface level facts and figures. But the real gold lies in level 2 and level 3, the implications and personal impact of their challenges. Let me give you a concrete example. When I was at Twilio, I was working with a prospect who mentioned they needed better customer communication tools. A level 1 salesperson would have jumped straight into talking about our messaging platform, but by going deeper, I uncovered that poor customer communication was causing a 40% churn rate, putting the VP of Customer Success's job at risk. That's level 3 understanding, and it completely changes the conversation. The third shift is about ownership. Average salespeople see discovery as the prospect's responsibility to explain their problems, whereas top performers see it as their responsibility to help prospects to articulate challenges they might not even be aware of. This is what I call diagnostic leadership, and it's the key differentiator in high-ticket sales. Let me show you exactly how this works in practice. There are 3 key components to diagnostic leadership in discovery. The first is pattern recognition. This is where your experience becomes your superpower. When I work with new sellers at Closers.io, I teach them to listen for specific patterns that indicate bigger underlying problems. When a prospect says our sales team isn't performing, Most salespeople start pitching sales training, but through pattern recognition, we know this usually indicates one of three deeper issues: either poor lead quality, misaligned incentives, or a lack of world-class sales training or talent. The second point is problem expansion. This is where you help prospects to understand the true scope and cost of their challenges, not through pushy tactics, but through careful exploration. Let me show you how this works in real time. Here's a conversation I had recently that demonstrates these principles in action. The prospect said they needed help hiring salespeople. Instead of jumping into our recruiting capabilities, I asked, help me understand what's driving the need for new salespeople right now. They mentioned growing revenue. Again, instead of pitching, I asked, what does it unlock for the business if these new hires were to start next week? This puts the prospect in the frame of mind where they can visualize their new reality while emotionally connected with their need to make a change. The third component is active listening. Most salespeople listen to respond, whereas top performers listen to understand. They're taking notes, reflecting back on what they hear, and connecting dots that the prospect might have missed. For example, if a prospect mentions they're struggling with lead quality, most salespeople immediately jump to their solution. But here at Closers.io, we would instead ask, help me understand what good lead quality actually looks like in your world. Then through a series of questions in this particular scenario, it eventually led to a crucial revelation. They weren't actually ready for new salespeople. Their real problem was that their offer wasn't converting. Hiring more salespeople would have actually amplified the problem, not solved it. This is the difference between an order taker and a trusted advisor. An order taker would have sold them what they asked for, whereas a trusted advisor helps them to understand what they actually need. Now let me share 3 specific frameworks that you can use to implement this approach in your very next sales call. The first framework I call the Diagnostic Triangle. It consists of 3 levels of questioning, each designed to uncover progressively deeper insights. Now level 1 is their current situation. Some example questions would be, walk me through your current process. What's your typical monthly revenue? And how many salespeople do you have right now? These are your baseline questions. But here's where most salespeople stop, whereas the magic actually happens at level 2. Now level 2 is all about implications. You'll ask questions such as, what's the impact of that on your growth targets? How is this affecting your team's performance? What opportunities are you actually missing out on because of this? But the real transformation actually happens at level 3, and this is where we unpack things such as personal impact or wider business impact. Example questions might be, what does this actually mean for you as a leader? How is this affecting your ability to hit your goals? And what happens if this doesn't get fixed within the next 6 months? Let me give you a fictitious example. I was speaking with a VP of sales who initially said that they needed help with recruitment. Through the Diagnostic Triangle, here's what we uncovered. Level 1 revealed that they were at $200K per month with 3 salespeople. Level 2 showed that they were missing their targets by 40%, and Level 3 uncovered that the VP had promised the board 3x growth and his entire leadership position was at risk. Now as we move forward, the second framework is what I call the bridge method. This is about connecting their current state to their desired state through strategic questioning, and here's how it works. The bridge method starts with 3 key questions. The first is, where are you now? Not just in terms of their numbers, but to understand the full picture of their current situation. The second question is, where do they need to be? This isn't just about revenue targets, it's about what success really looks like for them. The third question is, what's stopping you from getting there? This is where you help them to identify their real gaps, not just the surface level challenges. Now let me show you how I used this in previous roles. I was working with a company that was doing about $400K per month. Their goal was to hit $1 million per month within 6 months. Now most salespeople would have immediately started pitching solutions. Instead, I helped them to map out the bridge. Their current state is $400K per month with 4 salespeople and a 15% close rate, and their desired state is $1 million per month. Now through a gap analysis, we discovered that they didn't actually need more salespeople, they needed to fix their sales process first. Now this leads me to the third and most powerful framework, the impact chain. Now the impact chain is about helping prospects to connect their immediate challenges to broader business implications, and it follows this sequence. First is challenge, then it moves into business impact, then financial impact, and then finally personal impact. For example, when a prospect says that they're struggling with lead generation, here's how the impact chain unfolds. The challenge might be inconsistent lead flow, the business impact would be unpredictable revenue, the financial impact is missing their growth targets, and the personal impact is risk to their position, stress, and an inability to scale. But here's what makes this framework so powerful. It creates what I call productive tension, not through manipulation, but through clarity. When prospects fully understand the cost of inaction, they're motivated to make changes. Now let me show you how this can play out in an example conversation. A prospect came to us saying that they needed sales training for their team. Now on the surface that seemed reasonable, but by applying the impact chain, we uncovered something crucial. Their sales team wasn't failing because of a lack of training, they were failing because the company's offer wasn't properly positioned, and no amount of sales training would ultimately fix that fundamental issue. This is where the true art of consultative discovery kicks in. It's not just about asking good questions, it's about having the courage to tell prospects what they need to hear, not just what they want to hear. I learned this lesson early in my career. I was afraid to challenge prospects' assumptions. I would nod along and take their diagnosis at face value, but my results transformed when I started leading with conviction and sharing honest insights even when they were uncomfortable. This is the kind of sales professional we're looking for at Closers.io. People who can think deeply, lead with insight, and truly serve their prospects, even if that means telling them that they're not ready to work with us. If you're watching this and thinking about elevating your own sales career, here's what I want you to do. Take these frameworks and implement them in your very next sales call. But more importantly, if you're the kind of person who sees sales as a profession of service rather than just a transaction, then I want to hear from you. Direct message me on LinkedIn explaining why you think you'd be a good fit for our team, and then tell me about a time when you chose to be honest with a prospect, even when it meant potentially losing the deal. Because at the end of the day, that's what separates order takers from the trusted advisors, and that's the kind of sales professional we're looking for here at Closers.io. Beyond what we've covered so far, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and to share this video with a fellow sales professional. I'll see you on the next one, and until then, keep climbing.